So, I'm Lex. I'm here with Bob.
Hey.
And we're just going to be looking at this video from the 2015 convention. It's this collection of little vignettes that they put together called Have Love Among Yourselves. And it just sort of shows some different situations that can happen in your typical Jehovah Witness congregation.
In a Kingdom Hall?
In a Kingdom Hall.
All right. I'm starting to learn some of this language. Anyways, we'll just start it up and we can talk along the way.
So let's see what's going on.
I want to say right off the bat, we've seen this before. I actually really like how a lot of this, especially these early shots, are done. I'm like not a film expert or anything, but like I just feel like there's a lot of ambition. Like look at that, the shot. You can see who behind him. He's carrying a book, but you don't know who he is. You know, we haven't met him yet, and so
they have a lot of talented volunteers working the film. I will say.
Yeah, and it kind of. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess I would be curious who's in charge. Like, if you.
I would really hope that those people would get to go do that more, but I guess they don't.
I would just wonder about like how much creative input you have. Like, if the person who is doing the camera work had a hand in like storyboarding.
Yeah, I don't know that much
like,
about filmmaking anyway. So.
Because like Parasite, the director really storyboarded every single shot. So. Not that this is any Parasite, but...
I am so tired. I'm really not up to talking to anyone tonight.
Yeah.
All I want to do is just find my seat and enjoy the music.
I will say...
I know Jehovah will understand if I just...
Joanne, I am so glad...
So already, I would just like to say that I have identified with this woman, sister.
Yeah. They're going to do so many different little vignettes, and it's good that they started on this one. Very, very relatable. Yeah. Regardless of whether you were ever in a congregation.
Like, there are days where, like, you know, you worked all day and you're just, like, coming in and, like, it's not even there. I don't want to.
It's no one's fault that you're feeling that way, but you're just so fed up with people.
Because it's, you know, working a full-time job, having coworkers, you have to be, like, on for so much of the day. And then, like, you don't want people to think you're, like, rude. So you also have to be on when you're in the Kingdom Hall. Otherwise, people, like, will think, like, you really have, like, a problem kind of
And I've been personally more aware of this recently, but it's very different for men and women as well. Like, for me, like, if I look grumpy, people just go like, ugh. But, like, if a woman isn't always smiling, people think that she's sick, you know? Yeah. The same way with, like, if you don't put on makeup, people think like, oh, are you ill? And it's
way
like,
more serious.
Yeah, and there's, like, an expectation. So, for her to not be totally up to talking to people or whatever is very relatable, and I appreciate that.
Yeah. So let's see. So someone stopped her. Her goal was to not be spoken to, fly under the radar.
I mean, she did walk right up to this lady, so.
Yeah. Glad to see you. I could really use your help with preparing for my next Bible study with Lori.
Well, actually, you know, I was trying to just get to my...
Okay, so let me tell you.
Wow. She didn't even hear me.
No, she didn't.
I don't need this right now.
No,
this is
you really
trying my patience. But how many times was Jesus interrupted when he was tired? Love is patient and kind.
You want to pause that real quick?
Let me listen closely to what she has
Well, you just missed a whole tale she told.
You did.
While you were monologuing to yourself.
Well, but I will say...
I mean, granted, she wasn't listening to you, but that, like, if you...
Two wrongs don't make a right.
Yeah, like, I feel like once you realize that you need to be patient and kind, which, by the way, shouldn't have to be your responsibility, in my opinion, right? Like, if you're having a bad day, you should just let the other person know, like, I'm sorry, we should really talk about this another time. I am just not
Yeah, because at a certain point, like, you'll be more helpful if you're in more of a position to do so. But I guess I guess there's nothing wrong with, like, hearing her out. Because, like...
But you gotta actually hear her out. You can't just be monologuing in your head and then go, like, oh, let me check into this conversation at a later date. Like, no, we're having the conversation right now. She's still talking.
Yeah, I think that is... And also because her... which I think... Because her facial expressions... Yeah. Because her facial expressions are going along with her monologue more than what is being said. It's like, did you hear what the issue was?
Yeah, like, this lady's excitedly telling her, like, I've got a handle on this, this, and this, but I really need help with this. And this lady's going, like, along the way with her face.
I look really concerned right now.
Yeah, I need to look miserable, but then I need to look contemplative. But now I'm happy. And then contemplative again.
But I will say, though, that is really a testament to how uninterested this woman is in who she's speaking to.
That's true.
Because she has not registered.
The other lady Joanne could have walked away and she would have still kept going.
She's excited and she's been waiting for her to show up to the meeting.
Oh.
Which that is something that happens. There are some times where something will happen. I mean, that's not even unusual. That's just people being friends, where like you're waiting for someone in particular to come and you just sort of beeline it to them, which is what happened here.
This is interesting to me because she's saying that's when I remembered what you told me, and I remember this not being a particularly crazy piece of insight here.
That's when I remember what you told me.
Really? What did I say?
Remember, you said, always be patient and kind.
I also want to say...
I like that phrase.
Yeah, always be patient and kind is such a small piece of advice. Like, I don't know how...
I mean, I think...
Like, how would you even associate that with a person unless no one's told you to be kind?
Well, with a Bible study, if, like, I'm assuming they've worked together a lot... Joanne probably had a hand in this sister getting a Bible study. Okay. And doing that.
Can you define that for me a little bit? Because I've done Bible studies with people who are not Jehovah's Witnesses.
So a Bible study with a Jehovah's Witness, at least at the beginning, you know, when Jehovah's Witnesses come to your door, it's just a conversation about the Bible, and like you can sort of state where you're at.
A real hey, how you doing kind of thing.
Yeah. Once it's, and so you can start counting it as a Bible study whenever you're going to meet with someone.
You're studying the Bible.
But the way that they're talking, I would assume at this point they've been studying for a while. They might be approaching the point where she'd be inviting this person to meetings soon.
Right. So this is the lady who Joanne is talking to. I didn't catch her name.
Yeah, I think maybe Lauren. Is there a Lauren? I don't know why that name came up.
So this Joanne is aware that the other lady has a Bible study ongoing with someone who is not currently affiliated with the Kingdom Hall.
Yes.
Okay.
So she's asked.
Because I've worked with other people. Worked with like I'm a therapist. I've talked to people, believers who, a couple of years ago, that was a while ago. My ex-girlfriend. My girlfriend at the time went and did a Bible study with our old coworker Joel. Great guy, both of them great people. And they knew I didn't believe, but they still asked me to come along in case I wanted to, just so I wouldn't feel left out. And I only went once, but I went there and I had my copy of the Bible with me and I just read along, and we basically just did like some scriptural analysis.
Right.
None of us are historians, but we all talking about what we got from it, and I was like, this is interesting,
Yeah, I would say that there is, like, compared to, there's like a set, like, study publication that witnesses use, but then, like...
And that would guide you to the moral lessons that the Watchtower would want you to get from it.
Yeah, like, that'll help you understand, like... Just like our interpretation, or I guess Jehovah's Witnesses' interpretation of the Bible.
Old habits.
And, the royal we.
The royal we? I don't think that's exactly what it
was. But then, so it's more sort of doctrine, and then at a certain point, it's more like, I don't know what you call it, like, principles to live by, like the rule, like kind of like the rules. To blend in kind of a thing, I guess, for lack of a better word. But there's also, if your study brings up something in particular, you might bring like a different Watchtower awake that's more specific. But in this case, because she said, always be patient and kind, what I'm assuming or what I'm taking away from it might be that she brought up something like an issue that maybe... For whatever reason, this study had an issue with. for example, like they're really like the Day of the Dead is a really big thing for them.
Sure.
But witnesses don't celebrate that, and like their study might be having, as an example, not that
Sure.
yeah, but might be having a hard time like understanding that sort of thing. So then being patient and kind would be good, because you don't want to lose the Bible study over this. You want to hope they change their mind.
Sure, yeah.
Kind of thing. And sometimes, I never had a Bible study that progressed to that point. But, I'm assuming you could just revisit it and keep working with the person. Yeah. Unless they want to stop that.
Yeah. All right.
So I kindly pointed out the key words of scripture, and then after asking her the question again, I patiently waited for her to give me an answer, which, by the way, is not the easiest thing for me to do. But just when I thought that I couldn't wait any longer, she gave me the right answer. She got the point. I was so excited. But now I'm kind of wondering, does she really believe what she said? And if not, how am I going to help her to see the truth of the matter? And that's where I need your help, Joanne. I've been trying to look for articles. I can't find any.
This is, I think, an interesting point, because she is doing the right thing, I think. If you're trying to convince somebody of something,
you want
to seek out resources. If your approach isn't working, then seek out alternative resources to try to bolster your case. But what I find interesting is that the way she phrased it was, she asked a question, the person gave the wrong answer, she guided them to words in scripture, and then asked the same question again, and then the person said the right answer, but even she doesn't necessarily believe that the person believes it. And that seems really weird to me, because, like, if you're coaxing an answer out of somebody, that's not convincing them really of anything.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's why I would say, like, I would want to know more about, like, what it was. Like, is it, like, a personal lifestyle change that this person need to make that they just gave the right answer to? Or is it, like, a doctrinal thing that they just, like, if they've always grown up believing in hell and now, like, so, okay, the dead are conscious of nothing at all, so hell doesn't exist. But... And that's the right answer, but, like, what do they believe? And I don't really think... I mean, I don't really even remember if they're going... I don't think we're going to get any...
we don't get any detail.
We just see the situation, and the point of this was that she didn't want to talk, but I guess it's a good thing she did listen to this woman, is the moral here. But you can't really police what someone... If someone believes what you're saying.
Yeah, so you can't police anything anybody thinks.
So I don't think... I mean, I guess this is a reasonable concern to have, but I don't really think there could be any counsel to offer, because, like, there are multiple watchtowers and things that basically say Jehovah chooses who comes to know him, kind of a thing. So you can only really just make sure that they get it and hope for the best.
Yeah. And that's why, like, usually when people are lost and they, people like to come to me for advice.
Yeah.
And my general advice is always something along the lines of try to live consistently with your own values. Because, like, most of us, especially, like, if I'm talking to a friend, I know, like, I wouldn't associate with somebody who I think held deeply reprehensible values. Right? So racists, or people who think murder is cool. I'm not cool with that, right?
Yeah.
I'm deeply evil things, I'm like, no thanks. But, like, for that reason, I'm usually giving advice to somebody who I know to be, or I think to be, a fairly decent person, and my advice is always try to live within your own moral code, and try to live within your own, what you would prescribe to others. Because if you're living by my moral code, you and I may disagree on some minutia down the line about whether you should give money to this person or whatever, little things. But, like, if you're living consistently with yourself, at the very least you'll find peace with your own principles. Right? And so, like, I can't police your thoughts. I can't police your beliefs. I don't want to police your beliefs. You believe what you believe. And I don't think it's right for any human to try to stand over other people's beliefs in a one-to-one perspective or in a much larger, So, I don't know. Like, in this case, she's trying to guide someone to a new belief, and that's fine because you treat the other person with respect. You treat them as an equal because we're all equal. Mm-hmm. You know? And I say that, like, you can believe we're all equal in the eyes of God. You could also think we're all just equal, right? Like, you can take or leave God. It doesn't have to be an atheist or a theist position.
Right, exactly.
You know? So, anyways.
Joanne, can you please help me with finding an article on how to reason with a Bible student?
Angela, of course. I would be glad to help you. Could we get together maybe tomorrow afternoon?
Thank you
She
so much,
sounds really
Joanne, for
anxious
being willing to
about
help
it.
me. I really appreciate it.
Like-
Thank you.
I guess one thing I would say to that is, like, none of these people, like, are actors.
Are actors, yeah.
So, but that closes that vignette. This is the first one.
And I like how they shot that. We saw the whole thing, and now we're going to go back to the beginning of the meeting or whatever. See, this is her walking up again. But instead the camera's going to follow something else.
I like shows like that where
Bill.
very Tarantino
Carl, how are you?
to me.
Good, how are you feeling?
Good.
Awesome. Alex,
Hey.
I didn't get a chance to tell you last week, but that was a really nice job you did on your talk.
Yeah, good job.
Oh, thanks, guys. Believe me, I've been so busy, it was hard to make time to prepare it.
Oh, tell me about it. I think the whole congregation has had a lot going on lately.
Yeah, it has.
That's true, but I think I've been extra busy.
Why? What's going on?
You're not.
Okay. So, the reason I just wanted to pause is one, again, very relatable thing in that I can't think of how many like, we had a Tuesday midweek meeting.
Right.
So many talks were written, like, Monday evening. And, like, you're supposed... Sometimes if I saw the schedule, like, if I was, like, really being
a really
diligent,
fastidious person.
that I could have it done weeks in advance, but then you have to coordinate a time to practice.
Mm-hmm.
And so many times it was like we just met in the back room right before the meeting, and it's like, okay. Because women don't give, like, talks. Like, how he gave a talk, it was just him at the podium.
Okay.
So that's just him. He can...
Yeah.
He just needs him. But for sisters, you're always doing it with a partner, and you're sitting at a table, and it's more like a... it used to be more like a...
Skit?
Kind of, but it's not...
Really?
Yeah, it's not so much, but it is scripted.
Wow.
You're doing it like that.
So it'd be like a little conversation.
They made several changes to the theocratic ministry school, but, like, there used to be settings. Like, I remember one time I did one, like, talking to a teacher that isn't a witness and stuff like that. But then it changed, so now, like, I think it's still called the theocratic ministry school, but it's more just, like, going over the presentations for this month and, like, how to start, like, it's very more, like, samey, where, like, the setting doesn't really matter anymore.
No, who decides that then?
Who decides what?
Like, I guess, who decides the policy on, like, women deliver it this way and men deliver it this way?
I'm assuming the governing body, because that's just how it's always been. Women don't speak at the podium.
Right.
They just don't do that. I remember growing up, I always wanted to do a Bible reading when I was a kid. But that's a boys' talk. That's for boys.
So, like, a Bible reading, meaning, like, you would read the passage and then...
Like, yeah, there's a selection.
Expound on it.
Like, if we were doing Genesis 1 through 5 that week, so one of the Bible reading might be Genesis 3, 1 through 15, because that's, like, a good, solid story.
Yeah, it's beginning to middle and end, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
But, yeah, so there's that. So the whole congregation's busy.
Yeah,
They've all had talks.
From what I've heard, it seems like everyone's always busy.
And,
like, that's kind of a thing, I mean, without stepping on toes, I guess, that's the thing I personally don't like about a lot of religions, especially religions with multiple meetings a week, is that it keeps people so busy that they can't socialize with others. And I mean, in the Jehovah's Witnesses, it's explicit, you're not supposed to. But even, like, my parents were Hindus, and, like, my dad went to temple maybe, you know, on the big occasions, pretty much. You know, if something, he only kind of went when he needed to, you know? He would just go to get his fill, and then, you know, if he was potentially up for a promotion or something like that, you know, he would go there and he would pray. And he would stop at all the altars and things and do all the regular religious stuff. And he never really made me do it, but...
And your family's Hindu.
Yeah, my parents were both Hindu. And they had very different practices, but that's kind of beside the point.
Right.
But like I
sure
saw
we're
people
talking about like a Christian.
There were people who I went to when I went to the temple and I was like with my dad. There were people I would see there who I saw every single time, and I had it on good authority that they would come like in the morning and night every day, and then that was like before and after work.
Right.
And so like at that point, like that's even more than a Jehovah's Witness asks of you. Right? And nobody's asking them to do that, but they're so dedicated to this thing that isn't. I mean, obviously, I don't believe in the supernatural. So, you know, to me, it just seems like a lot of posturing for nobody.
Right.
You know, and it seems like a waste of a life to me. I know that sounds kind of mean spirited, but like it just feels like I don't see the utility in it, unless it like if it gives them some kind of inner peace, I can see how that might be nice, you know, but like they could also be getting that through social interaction or through forming lifelong friendships with people that they just don't get to meet because they're so busy going to temple all the time, you know, or you know, in Hinduism, you don't have congregations, really. And, I mean, you do in some sects, but, like, it varies. But, like, you know, you don't present things to the rest of the congregation. It's just like there's a priest up there, he does his thing. If you need a marriage rite done, you call him and he'll just be like, okay, here we go, I'll get the stuff. And he just does it, you know.
Yeah. There's also, I will... with the whole like presentation thing, there were some days where, because like everything's voluntary, so there'd be some time like it's all planned, it's a schedule of who's giving what talk, but there's some times where like people just didn't show up to give their talk. Or
so was that like a scandal, or was that just like whatever?
It wasn't a scandal. I mean, that's one thing though. Like in my hall, I don't know if.
Every hall was like this.
Yeah, in a lot of ways. But in this case, there would be
This ain't your grandmother's Kingdom Hall.
No.
Wait, did your grandmother go to your Kingdom Hall?
Actually, no.
Okay, well, yeah, it literally isn't your grandmother's Kingdom Hall.
It isn't mine.
Yeah.
She went to a different one. But there would be times when, like, people were just sick or just, like, couldn't make it last minute. We also had a lot of older ones in my hall.
Okay.
So, a lot of...
Calling people ones seems very strange to me.
I don't know. I just grew up with everyone, with younger ones, older ones, zealous ones.
Zealous ones? People say that?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
It's good to be anyone can be. It's not an age thing. It's not like from 25 to 35 years zealous. Yeah. But there's zealous ones.
I guess part of the reason that seems so strange to me is because like I grew up. There was a game.
There are no lazy ones.
Okay. Well, there was a game that I played growing up as a kid where there were, like, evil cultists out in the woods. And, like, that was my first use of the word zealot. Like, I didn't know what the word meant because these enemies would run up to me and they were called something zealots. And I was like, what does that word mean?
Right.
And so I Googled it, and then I was like, oh, okay. So I had this in my head, it has sort of a negative sound to it. But, like, I mean... So everybody's got a different story. There is.
All right.
Sick, are you?
No, it's nothing like that. It's all this theocratic stuff.
The music's getting very sinister right now.
Congregation duties.
That's how you know he's not active.
And other things, like this Saturday, I need to be at the Kingdom Hall all afternoon.
Oh my God.
Saturday here? Why?
Wait a second, I see where this is going. Isn't there a circuit assembly rehearsal here on Saturday?
Oh yeah, that's right. So you're on the program.
Well, I'm not sure if I'm supposed to say.
Well, you just did. So what is it? You're in a demonstration, interview. You can't just leave us hanging.
Okay. Well, it's not just an interview. It's an interview with a reenactment.
I will say, like he's about to go pretty ham.
On how big his job is, yeah.
I will say, though, there is definitely a prestige that goes with being part of a reenactment because a reenactment is definitely depending on like how well it goes, but usually it is like the most memorable part of a talk. Like I remember there's one time at a circuit assembly I went to where it was like a younger sister in our hall. It was, now I'm looking back at it and I don't know how to it was really inappropriate how people received this presentation. So it was it was a young man in school resisting the temptation of a worldly girl.
Okay.
That was the reenactment. Okay. And usually in circuit assemblies they do a good and a bad, which, spoiler alert, they're going to do one here as well.
And we'll talk about the
feelings on that.
Yeah.
But so the girl that was like, hey, sailor, or what, like, not, like, whatever right. Of being enticing or whatever. And I was in the same, we were all in the same circuit, but I was in one of the congregations closer to her congregation. Mm-hmm. So we had some similar friends and everyone was like, ooh, she's being she was really good at that kind of a thing. And it was just a weird, like, she was acting. She was helping the part, but it was weird that people acted like
oohing and awing as though she was really more worldly.
Yeah, it wasn't like no one was treating it like, I don't think anyone genuinely felt it was a scandal, but people were acting like it was scandalous that she did this thing or got cast for it, and I was like, well, that didn't really sit right with me. It was a weird thing. That's a little weird. Yeah. Okay. So, but the reenactment is the most memorable part.
Can you real quick explain to me, he had the circuit, what was happening?
So there's a circuit assembly.
Right, what is that?
So there's like the convention, the circuit assembly, and the special day assembly. And these are just little events. So normally you have your midweek meeting and your Sunday meeting at the Kingdom Hall with your 100 people. But a circuit assembly... 100? It varies hall to hall. Anyway, just its membership depends. Yeah. But there are these buildings. The circuit assembly is like 10 Kingdom Halls, roughly.
And they'll all meet together?
At one place. Like, we would get, like, there was like a performance arts place that had a theater. We'd rent it.
Oh, okay.
Like, other people rent it.
Okay, so it is kind of a big deal. A little bit that he's, okay.
So he's going to be
a lot of people. He's going to be in front of on stage. Okay.
Yeah, so it is a thing to be proud of.
In a way.
And they're having a rehearsal here.
That's it. Like, I do want to make it clear, we don't think it's something to be so proud of that you get a big head about it, which is the lesson that they're trying to teach us in this little morality play.
Yeah.
You know.
So.
I just don't.
And they're gonna ask me questions at the end. I'm actually on stage for most of the part. Come to think of it, guys, I am the part.
Chill
you are
out.
the part.
Calm down,
you sure you're not stretching that a little bit? No, I don't think I am. Okay,
I don't have to be worldly to know this is insane.
I'm up there for 6. That's more than half the part.
Or the other way around.
Anyway, so let me tell you how it's supposed to go. They're gonna ask me about this time I did this amazing job on the field service. I walk up to the door. Of course, I ring the bell. But what happens? It doesn't work. I knock loud.
I love that so much. I knock louder than any man ever has.
Yeah.
Like, they're really,
there's ego, and then there's that.
He's the Chad of the Kingdom Hall. Like,
yeah. Because, like, I mean, I said something incorrectly during that. I don't have to be a Jehovah's Witness to know that is ridiculous.
No one would find that person appealing.
To hang out with,
because, like, his friends are like, wait, well, you are... Like, they were fine at first.
Yeah, but we were just trying to figure out, like, oh, that's kind of a big deal. And they were all having natural reactions, and then he's like, yeah, you know what? Guess what? I'm a movie star, buddy!
And then they're
I'm on Broadway! And it's like, chill out.
No, you are very much
6/10 is still a D.
Yeah. That I will say, though, the last circuit assembly I went to, that's the last time you really see, like, people doing reenactments.
Oh.
The rest, because, like, that's, like, local.
Sure, yeah.
But the district convention, it's, like, these videos for everybody all over the place.
Sure, yeah. It wouldn't make sense to, Yeah,
but circuit assemblies keep it a little more local.
A little bit more locally.
Homegrown.
Yeah. I mean, that's just an organization thing.
Yeah. So, I will say with this one, like lesson's pretty clear. Just don't.
The ominous music made that clear.
Yeah, we don't
But well, here, we'll just let it play.
The good version.
Because now they're going to show us the same thing again, but the good version with happy music. And what I...
Bill.
See, you can just
how
let
are
it
you?
play. Because the beginning of this is very similar.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome,
And
Alex.
the thing I don't like about it
last week,
is
but that was a really nice job you did on your talk.
Yeah.
The thing I don't like about it
These
is
guys,
that...
with Jehovah's help, it
Oh,
came
see,
together.
there's a difference.
Believe me, I've been so busy.
It kind of
it was
betrays
hard to make time to prepare
the filmmaking stuff they were doing before. Because like I would have liked to see just vignettes going on, and then but I don't know how you would convey good way, bad way.
Well, the thing is, like with these, because I was in attendance at this convention, that's why this stayed so sharp in my mind. Don't see a lot of people talking about this one, but there is a brother giving a talk. And it's like so this was probably about being presumptuous.
Sure.
So wow, there are so many privileges we have in the organization, but sometimes that might go to our head, play the clip, and then we would talk about why that's bad. Well, we would hear, the brother would speak to us about why that was bad.
Right.
And then, let's see that brother try it again, and then they'd play this.
Okay.
So...
Yeah, okay, it works in that format.
So it works in that format, but all together...
As one film.
As one video by itself.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Oh, tell me about it. I think the whole congregation has had a lot going on lately.
Yeah, it has.
You both would know, aren't you both auxiliary
What's that guy
pioneering?
doing in the background?
How's that going?
It's going.
that, I
Actually, yesterday I was
believe
able to
he
show
is
one
a
of our
sound
JW.org
brother.
videos with a man. He said
What?
I can come back this Saturday.
I can't
think he
tell,
might even
actually.
agree
I
to
don't get a
study.
good view. I
He's
can't
like
tell if
reading
that's
something.
So he actually might be accounting. So
Okay.
it depends on the layout. Like, it's very similar congregation to congregation. But that corner
Setup, yeah.
in my hall was always where the sound guy was.
Oh.
And he's preparing, the music that you hear in the Kingdom Hall.
Okay, yeah.
And, make sure the screens are ready because, they put the songs on. And
So he's got the
mics.
soundboard there and the keys
Yeah.
and all that, yeah.
Yeah, so that's what he could be. He could also just he might have a talk later, reviewing some notes.
Yeah, I was just curious.
Yeah, so I can't really get a good look, but there's lots of functions. There's little stations all over the place.
You want to come with me, Alex?
I'm sorry I'm going to be tied up for most of this Saturday, but maybe Bill can come with.
How about it, Bill?
Sure.
I
have a call
love
to make too.
that's
Maybe we can do
even
both calls
in the
together.
good version.
deal.
He invites
So, Bill, you
someone
got a good
else
call,
onto
too.
the
Tell us
thing.
about it.
Oh, yeah.
That's cute.
Yeah.
It's not a nice thing to do. Don't invite other people onto.
Yeah, Bill might have, actually, I have a part, I guess, that's one thing, the car groups
Car groups?
for service.
I don't know what you mean.
So, if you're going out in service on Saturday, you usually probably pick a partner.
Uh-huh.
But sometimes you might get a group together,
Okay.
you, and then, because you don't, that's one thing, I guess. You don't really want to take, 20 cars to one street
Sure, yeah.
kind of thing. So you'd like car groups.
Yeah,
I mean,
carpooling.
yeah, that, carpooling. But you, put your car group together, and sometimes people get put into your car group.
Oh.
Because some people don't have a partner on Saturday, and that's fine. I don't know how I feel about this. I feel like anybody should be it. To the point that I almost feel like Jehovah's Witnesses really shouldn't even make partners too regularly. I actually remember this experience when I was young. A brother moved to our hall from Africa, and he was an elder, and when he transferred over, he was a new elder in our hall to join our body, and he was the service overseer for our hall. Each elder gets some sort of job like that, and he was a service overseer, which basically is at the time when there was more going on, I guess, or just, I don't know, they just sort of condense things more and more as time goes on, progress, or however you want to look at it. But the service overseer used to go to each service group once a month, work with them, help them with presentations and stuff,
Okay.
work with anybody.
Sure.
I'll also give a special talk just for this service meeting.
Sure, yeah.
Or this book study group, because that's who your service group was. It was the same thing. But he was new, and it was like the first Saturday of the month. He was like, okay, so like, we didn't really get a chance to talk, because like if our meeting was Tuesday, he didn't get into like Wednesday. So our first time meeting this man was really Saturday.
Okay.
And so he was like, okay, everybody, so, like, we're going to just, like, make some new groups, I'd like to just, like, have us do this and that.
Mix it up.
The whole congregation was really against this.
Oh.
And it was I was so confused about why this was an issue, but people were like, we already have partners, so we're not going to do it with anyone else. And I thought that was the most...
What?
It was the most defiant act I've ever seen in my...
Like the whole congregation.
Like, it wasn't ever... Like, some people were just fine with it, but, like, the vocal... I would have to say it was honestly, like, a 55-45 split. Like, it was...
That's still quite a few.
Yeah, that's not... It was not okay. It was very... So
I feel like... I guess people in the comments, if you want to weigh in, that sounds to me like you've got a crowd of people, and a good number of them are, I don't want to say less devout, but like...
I definitely was...
certainly more free-spirited than...
This also goes to show just how involved children...
Let's say this. They're more goat-like ones, I think, than
sheep.
Than sheep-like ones.
Yeah, I will say this is also
That's
a good example...
lingo that I've picked up.
Good. I'm proud. You're making the truth your own in that way. But what I will say, though, is this is also a good testament to how involved children are required to be in this.
Oh.
Because I was only like 8 when this was happening, and I was expecting a local needs to happen about this. And I was like confused that local needs did not come. Needs? A local needs is like, I think, once a month. Sometimes there can be many. It depends on like how many plan talks there are for the Kingdom Ministry, but usually one a month. And a local needs is something that's pressing in your congregation. So it's like a do whatever you feel up to body of elders. You, like the governing body, saying, you know what your hall needs. Make a talk for them.
Oh, make a talk for them. Okay.
Yeah, so it's like free. Like usually, if you look at the Kingdom Ministry, it's all planned. But if it's local needs, that's like free
you
space.
Figure that out.
Yeah, that
makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need time to talk about this stuff, but there was
because there are going to be social problems that
Yeah.
they're going to want to address that are just not.
Yeah, like if someone was marked, or if there's some sort of issue,
or if there's
like
been a huge spike in the number of people wearing tight pants.
Yeah, exactly. Like you want to make sure. Which actually, what's interesting? No brothers ever since the time I was present for the tight pants branch meeting.
Congrats.
I was so worried going up to that meeting. Because like we had just done a Watchtower that was further explaining the whole judgment deal before the Great Tribulation, which and. It's interesting watching videos talking about it now and how it's changed over, how like the end predictions have like changed or whatever. But at the time, I was just fully in all of this, and friends with you. No, not friends with you.
Yeah, I don't think we were friends with them.
But not being the greatest of witnesses, I'll say. And I was like, oh no, at this branch, because they kept talking it up like this was really going to be it. I was like, are they going to read lists of names of people who have been judged? Are we all just getting automatically disfellowshipped at this? Yikes. What's happening? And then I heard the tight pants Tony talk, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm fine.
Yeah.
I wear yoga pants only at home. Sometimes at Target.
Yeah.
But
now look at you.
Yeah.
Look where it led you. Bad association.
But yeah, so anyway, let's see.
Let's keep going.
Yeah, so let's keep going.
Love the pan. Love the grab. That was cool.
Okay, so she's looking up something.
I like that she's nodding to herself.
Brother Harris, do
Is
you
that
have a
a
moment?
belt she's
Sure,
wearing?
Faye. How can we help you?
Well, you probably heard by now. David and I got engaged
What, her
this past
necklace?
weekend.
No,
We
no, around her
heard.
waist.
Congratulations. We're so happy for
Probably.
both of you.
Thanks so much. And since this is where I grew up, it would mean a lot to us if we could get married in this kingdom hall. So we were hoping,
It's
since
so
you're the
weird to me.
coordinator of
This
the
guy
body of
looks
elders, you'd be
a
able to
lot
let
like
us
my
know
dad to
today
me.
if we can use the hall. Then David and I can start working on our wedding invitations. David asked me to give you this letter, making our official request.
Uh-oh, ominous music.
What's wrong here?
Oh, yeah. This is
Weird
a good letter.
compliment.
This gives me all the information
Such
I
a
need.
weird compliment.
Faye, I can't imagine you getting married anywhere else. You can count on the Kingdom Hall. And I'll let the elders know I've already given my approval, but let David know we're looking forward to your...
Huh?
So, do you, as someone who isn't in it, do you understand why that music was playing and what he did wrong?
Yeah. But only on the basis that, like... Well, I've seen this before and I remember what he did wrong, but also I remember... Like, I did... If knowing the structure of the way this whole thing works, I actually do agree that he really does need to be checking in with the other people. Like, he doesn't have unilateral ability to give consent for everybody to use all. And I understand what that... I understand that, because, like, in any organization, you're going to have facilities or utilities or objects that are owned by the organization that you don't personally own. It's not your place to give that up all by yourself, you know?
You at least need to check, like, the schedule. He
Right.
didn't even
I
make
mean, like-
mention. He's, so, like, at this point, if someone
Like, if
has
somebody
planned
came-
something, someone else is getting married that day.
Yeah, like if somebody came to my home and said, hey, can I use your apartment to film? I would have to check with my wife, right? Like, that's a natural, normal thing to do. If you're not the sole owner or runner of a thing.
Yeah, exactly.
You should check. In this case, he is the...
He is the Kobe, which is the coordinator of the body of elders.
Right, so as the
It
Kobe...
used to be called presiding overseer. I don't know why they changed.
I feel like that's an unclear role, because it doesn't tell you where they fall in the rank. Because circuit overseer could be below or above
The presiding.
presiding. Presiding makes it sound like they're over everybody.
That's, yeah, okay.
You know, especially since governing body members doesn't sound as presiding as somebody would
I don't
presiding.
know. That's one thing. Like, if you're listening to this, please leave in the comments, where did your, like, lingo come from? Because I don't, as soon as, like, it was announced the coordinator of the body of elders was a thing, I feel like everyone just sort of immediately started going by Kobe. And, like, to the point where I think it even will be used in this at some point. So, and I was always like, oh, okay, I didn't think that was, like, everybody said that. I thought that was...
Yeah, but it just kind of emerged.
I mean, they do, as far as things like that, they usually do have pretty good acronym game. I'm
fair
with,
enough.
yeah.
A big day.
Thanks so much, Brother Harris. I knew you'd come through for me.
I mean, Brother Harris is just trying to look out for his people. And swoop. Look at her on her waist when she stands up. I don't know what this yellow thing is.
Yeah, it's like a
Brother
little
Harris,
belt,
do you have a
but I
moment?
don't-
Sure, Faye. How can we help
An
you?
Well, you
interesting
probably
choice.
heard
It
by
doesn't
now.
look like they're in the
David and I
weeds.
got engaged this past
But she does have a
weekend.
color
We
coordinated
heard.
outfit, which is nice.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
We're so happy
Everybody
for
here
both of you.
does.
Thanks so much. And since this is where I grew up, it would mean
One
a
thing,
lot to
that's
us
one
if we could get
thing,
married
I'm
in
sorry, this is
Kingdom Hall.
unrelated, but I do want to finish this. But this is another thing, if you bring up some witness nostalgia, this is one thing that I feel makes this a little fake news. Not really, but there were so many times I went to the meeting and you know, they always talk about how, like, women's cycles sync up. But this is, and I feel like maybe this is kind of like if there'd be so many days when I would go to the meeting and, like, me and several other sisters were all wearing red, or, like, some days we were all wearing purple. We're like, what? We didn't coordinate this. Why did we all make this decision?
That is not women's cycle syncing up. That is not the same thing.
But no, it wasn't like that. But it
But
felt
yeah,
like
okay.
we were all noticing.
It
some
feels like
that,
social
brothers,
telepathy
Yeah,
happening,
we
yeah.
all did it. So I don't know. I don't see a lot of that happening. I don't see like there'd be like a several like purple patches all over the place.
Yeah.
That I don't see here.
So we were hoping, since you're the coordinator of the body of elders, you'd be able to let us know today if we can use the hall. Then David and I can start working on our wedding invitations.
He
David
purses
asked me to
his
give you
lips
this letter,
and
making our
nods
official
just like
request.
my dad. Like, he has even a lot of the mannerisms of my dad.
Actually, yeah, I see them too.
Yes, this is a good letter. This has all the information that we
He's using
need.
we now.
I'm going to check with the other elders, and we're going to discuss it. Then we'll get right back to you.
Oh, you mean you can't tell me right now? I thought since you're the coordinator,
Oh,
you'd
she
have
doesn't
the
say
authority
Kobe, so maybe it
to,
is
you know.
slang still.
I understand, but there is a theocratic arrangement that we all have to follow, even the elders. And the arrangement is for the entire service committee to discuss this, consider the matter thoroughly, and before any approval is given. So I don't have the authority to make a decision on my own.
Of course, that makes sense. I understand.
But don't worry, Faye. We're going to get on this
if
as
I
soon
were
as
him,
possible. Then you can move forward with
I
your
probably
wedding
would.
plans.
Thank you so much, Brother Harris.
I
really
probably
appreciate
would have
it.
said.
You're welcome.
No, you don't need to pause. I probably would have told her, like, here's what I'd like. You know, like, I think it should be
But
fine.
see, I feel like that's making too much about we're about to start another vignette.
Yeah. But I mean, like, I don't know. I feel like it'd be. I don't know. Maybe this would be out of line, but I feel like it wouldn't be out of line for him to say something like, I think it's, I think it should be a swish for us, but I will let you know I still do have to check with them. I think it'll be fine, but I don't know.
Yeah, like, or just something like,
Just
I don't
positive
I don't
reinforcement.
believe there's anything else scheduled for that day, but
Right.
we still need to clear it. You know,
Yeah.
like I don't know if that would be bad.
Like, I
but
gotta
that's
follow the
still-
procedure. I think you're fine, but I gotta follow the procedure.
Yeah, I don't think there would be anything wrong with that, but I think it's still safer to go the route he went
Sure.
because if it does,
Because you don't want her to start planning everything.
Yeah, like so she should just be left dangling right
Also,
now.
when is she wants to get married on Saturday or whatever?
I don't think this Saturday. Did she say this Saturday?
because she's getting him to clear the schedule for it, right? Just clear that it's cool for her to get married. But she got engaged like last Saturday.
Yeah, so she's just
So that's real quick turnaround on that.
I mean,
Is that normal?
Engagements usually go pretty quick.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I would say.
I don't know. I've had a lot of I've seen a lot of variety with that. I've seen people who are fiancés for most of the relationship and then they break up, and I've seen people who who turn their dating into marriage really quick. And like I don't think there's a right way or a wrong way to do it, except that the wrong way to do it is to pick someone you're not compatible with, you know?
Yeah, like I want to like there's some couples I've known.
Or staying with someone who you're not compatible with.
Yeah. So there's some couples I know where it was like their whole deal was like 2 years.
Yeah.
From courtship to marriage.
Oh, okay.
There's some people I know who were dating for like 3 to 4 years, but the engagement was like, how long do we have to plan it? Because remember, it's not just like other religions where it's like, don't have sex until you're married, but like wink wink, like no
That's
one's
not how
asking.
other religions
No, I know. But it's not like where well, I feel like, you know, talking with other people about like it's like it's not, but there's no actual like action. Like maybe people wouldn't be as pleased, I guess, or whatever.
That varies.
Depends.
It's just like theologically, like, for example, I knew someone in high school who had sex, and they were a Muslim, and their parents were Muslim, and they got kicked out of the house.
Okay, yeah.
Like,
so
and that wasn't because Islam said you needed to do that.
That was their take.
That was their parents' take. They were like, we're very strict about this. We said don't have sex. You had sex. Get out of my home.
Yeah.
And it's like, that wasn't cool. I wasn't cool with that. But like, you know, it wasn't like an Islam thing. That was just a them thing.
Yeah, so that's true. So obviously that sort of thing varies.
Right.
But like you said, that's family. But like the general collective stance on this is that if you have premarital sex, you, depending on your repentance, you will be reproved or disfellowshipped. And reproved is a very public scolding. and getting knocked down several notches back to basic publisher if you're a brother. And I guess the sister, you just
so
stay there.
Will they address you as publisher instead of sister or brother?
No, you're still sister or brother, but it's just you're not doing
You're
anything.
a brother, but you're not like a bro.
You're not going to be... Kind of. You're not, like, going to be passing mics anymore while people give answers during meetings.
You're
Which
not
is, like,
allowed to
that's...
pass mics?
That's, like, the... When you're looking to be, like... That's, like, the baby steps of being a brother. Like, room to be a ministerial servant or an elder. You gotta, like, take your lumps, if you will. Kind of thing, and like it's starting with like mics. That is like the basic privilege of a brother.
That doesn't sound like a privilege. That's a chore. That sounds like a responsibility cul-de-sac. I can't imagine being promoted from someone who hands mics around to anything. What does handing a mic around show about my ability to handle responsibility?
Well, you have to be paying attention. You have to have a firm stand.
Okay, so I can't be completely checked out, but, like, that's true for me to continue breathing.
But you're going to, like, the brother... If you start doing mics, that lets other brothers know that you're ready to be used, as they'd say.
Oh, that makes me a little uncomfortable.
I didn't mean to word it like that. But anyway, that's like a basic privilege. But anyway, so... Gosh, how did we even get here? Premarital sex, you will be disfellowshipped or reproved. So, in witness culture, once you're engaged, it's like, let's plan this.
We're wasting time, yeah.
Like, I proposed because I love you. That's all great.
We need to seal the deal here.
Yeah, like...
Armageddon could be tomorrow.
Yeah, so basically... Okay, so let's see what this next situation is.
Excuse me. Larry, Frank, have either of you seen Kevin tonight?
Yes, he's over by the literature counter.
Okay.
I can go get him if you'd like.
Oh, that would be great. Thank you very much. Larry, perhaps you've heard. Faye Carter and David Thomas have recently gotten engaged, and they want to use the Kingdom Hall for their wedding. So perhaps you and Kevin and myself, we could get together for a few minutes tonight, and then they could move forward with their wedding plans.
Tonight?
Oh, jeez.
How many times are you going to do this to us, Tom?
Do what?
Keep having these unscheduled meetings.
Oh.
Look, maybe you're not so eager to get home and spend time with your family, but some of us are.
Yeah, I'm gonna, you can see by the subtitle where he's going with this.
I mean, there should be a question mark because he's questioning what the guy means by that.
But what I want to say is, and like, Hold
on, your point is much more serious than mine. I just want to say, this hits so hard home for me.
Because it looks like your sad dad.
He has the same expression as my dad when he's sad. Like, he looks, like, it's like you can't, I grew up with the man, so I know when he looks sad. I know it. So, I disappointed him so many times, so many ways across my whole life. And, like, every time it hurts. Like, that I think is the thing that convinces me that what I feel for my father is familial love. You know, like, do I like him as a person? Yeah, I like him as a person. Is he my friend? No, he's my dad. Right? Like, that's the thing in my head that's the distinction. That I feel that pain when he's in pain.
Right.
You know, in a way that I don't feel for other people, you know? And, like, this guy is evoking that in me, even though I don't know who he is.
I get that. Okay, so,
anyway,
I want to...
You were saying.
I want to get a little serious.
Not want to spend time with my family?
Yeah, so... I don't know why I think on one hand
it could be coincidence.
And like it's good that they're portraying a black male in like a leadership role. He's the
a very diverse congregation.
Yeah. So that's cool. Well, not that diverse. We've seen like black diverse. And white people.
There's an Asian lady later.
Yeah, okay.
And I don't remember if there are any
That's
Hispanic
still
people.
Not like that diverse. Like
I mean, including any Asians anywhere is pretty diverse for this country.
Yeah.
Like, we don't include Asian people
anywhere. You didn't
anywhere.
grow up with that much representation, like, at all.
Yeah.
Like, that's only, like, just starting. Okay, anyway.
Like, we're lucky to get Hispanic people represented anywhere, but Asian people never get represented.
Yeah. So,
like,
anyway.
we don't exist.
So, like, cool. But this white man is telling a black man, maybe you don't want to be a father to your family, but I sure do. Yeah. And that sounds super racist.
Yeah, that's like and it may not be intentional. We're not saying it is.
If it's not intentional, I do think this is a problem with, like, the echo chamber going on at the Watchtower Society, because nobody felt like optics wise, like, you can't even
can I try my the echo chamber? It's not just the echo chamber at the Watchtower. It's whoever's writing this they probably work in Bethel and all that, and those people are in a much more secluded bubble than the people who are living in, you know, Arkansas and California and Ireland and all over the place. And those people all over the world, I believe, I can't remember what the exact phrase is. Maybe you'll remember the phrase. Live in the world, but don't engage with it.
Yeah, like no part of the world.
No part of the world, right? Yeah, they can live in the world, but they can't be part of the world. But the fact of the matter is, if you live in the world, you will just naturally pick up on a little bit, even if you try your hardest to distance yourself from it. You'll pick up on some of the social cues, and one of the really common ones is the idea that black men abandon their families. Like, that is not a hard thing to pick up. Maybe in other countries, but in this country,
in America,
it is a very common racist trope or racist idea, and it's the kind of thing that, like, you see people, like, racists who are trying to mask that they're racist, or even people who don't realize they're being racist will say, like, you know, you want to reduce gun violence? Well, why don't you get black people to stop shooting each other? And you want to reduce black people going to jail? Well, how about you get black fathers to take care of their kids? And it's like, okay, yeah, that's maybe we should. But that is an explicitly racist argument. Because, like, other people walk out on their kids.
Lots of people
walk out on their kids.
Yeah, so the focus, why is the focus on black fathers instead of just, there are lots of people who just consider their fathers sperm donors because they had no impact on raising them of all races. And like that's not to say, there may be some statistical, I don't know what the statistics, I don't know what the numbers are. Maybe there is some statistical connection there. But the fact that there is a trope that goes around, and then we're using that, we're not even necessarily using it, but a white man is telling a black man who is on higher authority than him. He's the coordinator of the elders. This guy's just an elder. And he's like, even though you are in some way have some authority over me, I'm still going to talk down to you. Yeah.
And I'm going to say, like, you don't want to spend time with I'm going to suggest that you don't want to spend time with your family. It's just really, really poor taste. And this is all assuming it was unintentional. If it's intentional, it's basically inexcusable.
Yeah, but hoping they, because they also probably
because I really don't think they intended it.
Yeah, I don't think they intended it. And, like, if you're writing it, they don't have the cast lined up.
Right. So the people writing it are hoping, like, they're thinking, oh, this will be a good line for the thing. It'll demonstrate a thing. But when they cast it and then they shoot it, I feel like someone during the shooting process should have taken a second and gone, hey, wait, can we modify this script just a little bit to change his complaint to, instead of, like, not spend time with my family, or just recast, like, just swap them.
Like, because they could, like, I guess the thing is, though, that's a really, if I think about it, witness optics-wise, like, taking race out of it, since I'm assuming that's not what they meant, they really can't, it has to be a line to explain why he doesn't want to stay for an elders meeting.
Uh-huh.
So if he says something like, maybe you want to stay here all day, but some of us don't, that's bad, because why don't you want to stay at, what's wrong with the Kingdom Hall? Yeah. Why can't you spend an extra 10 minutes here? Then he'd be in the wrong.
Would anybody ever be going to the Kingdom Hall and then going home and doing, like, Bible study with their families?
No, because, like, this meeting's, like, wraps up at, like, 9. Like, you're probably going to bed.
So what time is he spending with his family that he's complaining about?
Yeah, like, I don't know.
The time on the drive home so that you can then go, I'm tired, and then go to bed?
Basically, I don't know what his issue is.
I mean, he's just being nasty to this guy.
So it really, and at that point, like, he's in the wrong regardless, so he could say, maybe we just want to go home sometimes.
It might muddle the message, though.
You think it might muddle the message?
I mean, the message here is supposed to be... Actually, I don't know if that would muddle the message. I think that is basically,
because, like, he's wrong regardless. He's
the
starting
message here
a fight.
is don't be a jerk, yeah.
Want to spend time with my family?
Oh, that's
what is
my
that
dad
supposed to
like.
mean? He is way out
He
of
is
line.
way out of line.
I
Oh,
should
this
set
is
him
the
straight
message.
right now. No.
See, this
Wait.
is...
What am I thinking? If I react poorly right now, I could cause a major rift between us, even between our families. And if we elders don't show love among ourselves, imagine how this could affect the congregation.
Okay, see, and I want to be clear. In this one, I believe they don't cut to a better version, and instead they just make up to each other.
Kind of like how the first one went.
The first guy, yeah, he says, the white guy apologizes to him for being short with him. And I'm glad he does. But this right here is actually another not so great thing that they do, because the lesson he's learning is to be quiet and not stand up for himself when he is slighted.
That's one thing. They're so, like, I felt like every month there was another article about forgive your brothers, forgive.
And I understand forgiveness. Forgiveness is
but
good.
Like, not keep account of the injury.
Again,
and I feel like that's good if we're talking about, like, little, like, the
little
first
things,
example that we saw earlier.
Sure.
With, like, I don't really want to talk. We're not going to hold that against that woman that she wanted some Bible
or that the other lady
tips.
didn't listen to her when she said...
Yeah. So that's fine.
But here's the thing.
In this...
There's a point I'm... compounding on the racial dynamic of you don't want to spend time with your family is the... He's saying, I can mistreat you because you're a black man. And then the follow-up is, I have to take it because I'm a black man. And that's not the intended message, but it is a message that people of color are told all the time.
Yeah, I would say what my issue is...
Subtextually told.
Subtextually and unintentionally it comes across. But I'm also saying if you're supposed to forgive 77 times no matter what they do,
right,
all the time, regardless of, you're not supposed to keep account of the injury. Well, what if the injury
is serious,
being racist to me?
Yeah.
Am I supposed to just be cool with that?
Exactly. And like this is, and like somebody, I know some people in the audience might feel like that's not true. People of color aren't told that. But like there's a reason why we have a movement like Black Lives Matter. Agree, disagree with, you know, the organization or the movement or its goals or whatever. Regardless of that, the fact of the matter is that these are people who feel unheard because they feel like their lives are being treated as though they don't matter. Mm-hmm. And their point is police violence kills people. When you have a policeman kill a white person, everyone understands that their life matters. When a policeman kills a black person, everyone those people feel like the way we treat that is, and I happen to agree with them, but that's just me. Those people feel like that when we see a black man shot by the police, the first instinct is, let's try to figure out why it happened, rather than just mourning the loss.
Yeah,
rather than valuing the life. He has to sit quietly and be dead, rather than appreciating the fact that a cop took someone's life.
Yeah.
You know.
What I would say, too, I would just paraphrase a bit Michael Che said once that I think sums it up pretty well as far as, like, black voices. So, the general consensus, not that everyone feels this way, but a common take is, slavery was hundreds of years ago, just let it go. Mm-hmm. But, like... 9/11, never forget. So it's supposed to be hundreds of years have passed, never forget is the say. But no one says never forget slavery.
Right.
That's not the it's like,
yeah,
put it over there.
Yeah, you get to put that in the corner of,
Again, that's not what this is about.
Right, but I'm just saying,
still,
like, it really compounds that what we were saying about, like, the Watchtower, because of their disconnection from
the
wider society, they're unaware of the social cues they're accidentally leaning on, or intentionally leaning on in a very bad way, but I wouldn't put that to them. Certainly wouldn't accuse them of that without much, much stronger evidence.
Yeah, like, this isn't enough.
This is nowhere near enough to suggest
as we keep going and looking through stuff, will we see any more?
We may see something else, but I don't think we will, honestly.
I don't think they're...
Yeah.
What a dishonor that would be to Jehovah and Jesus. What do the scriptures say? Do not leave.
I mean, like, know your place is a very disturbing thing to encourage black people to...
You're right, Larry.
Yeah, it's just...
embody.
It's just...
I'm sorry. I just thought maybe...
In the other example, it was good casting. For this one, is bad casting. I think is the...
that way
honestly, again, if they'd swapped the casting, I think it would be fine. And this guy apologizes.
It's me that needs to apologize. I
You did.
overreacted.
Yeah, very much.
Look, you're right. Since all of us are here,
like to say, this
it would be good
congregation-
for us to take care of this if we can.
Like, might be dissolved soon, because it's
Here
very
comes Kevin.
sparse. Apparently they
See
only
if
have
he's
3
there.
elders.
Yeah. Look at that. He got so snippy with our brother Harris, even though Kevin was like 4 feet away. Like he was like, you don't want to take care of your kid. We all want to get home tonight. And then like, oh, Kevin's right here. Like,
Yeah, the meeting...
chill out.
Because, like, the meeting hasn't started yet. And, like, granted, he said, like, maybe after the meeting we can round up really quick. But if Kevin's already here, and he's like, look,
can
they
decide
want to
this
get
right
married. Yeah, like, I don't think there's anything going on. Is there
Right,
anything that would be in the way?
Does everybody like them? Yes. Are they in good standing? Yes. Do we have anything on that Saturday? No. Okay.
Yeah. Because, like, that is one of the things. There are some, like, small... When the hall I was in was pretty large, and we had emerged, so we had a lot of elders, to the point where some elders had no second job within the congregation. Like, you could be the Kobe, you could be the service overseer, you could be the secretary, and, like, you keep track of the field service reports and things like that.
Field service reports, gosh.
And different things like that.
There's so much stuff here.
Yeah.
I feel like I need a glossary of terms.
That's why I felt like this is good to go over, just to give some basic congregation. Like, we're going to a meeting today. All right, let's look at the next clip.
Yeah. I don't remember at all what was the... But see, we're starting a little bit later.
Yeah.
And that is actually nice. I do like that.
Excuse me. Larry?
Oh, you might remember what's happening now, actually. This one, I have a lot of feelings.
These two I always
Such a good time
forgot.
this morning. Always enjoy working with you in service.
Same here. And I hope Miss Johnson
Oh,
comes to
this
the meeting
one.
this Sunday.
That would be so nice.
Hey, did you ever find your sunglasses?
No, I looked all over. I have no idea where they could be.
Hey.
Hey, Susan.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
You left these at my house last night.
Can you believe it?
What? Susan had another gathering at her home last night? And I wasn't invited again. I just don't get it.
They had to be yours.
Thanks again. I'm always leaving my stuff behind.
And Helen, how are you doing?
I'm fine. Sorry, I got it.
Helen?
Oh.
What just happened?
I have no idea.
She might have to sneeze.
I don't know.
I'm kidding.
I got that.
You didn't laugh. What am I, chopped liver?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Okay. So, I mean, this isn't, like, on one hand, if you go in a hall, this hall still looks pretty small.
Yeah.
But let's use 100 as a number. You think
Okay, sure.
Like, just use it as a number. Obviously, you can't have 100 people to your house every day.
Sure.
Every time. And I feel like what the correct action would be is, like, if you want to have people over all the time, and, like, we're all, the congregation, we're all friends here.
Mm-hmm.
You should have like a rotating cycle.
Oh gosh, that's so hard to keep up.
Yeah, no, that's...
I mean, frankly, like, the deal is, like, this woman feels slighted that Susan would invite, and I think she goes into more specifics here in a minute, Susan would invite everybody else to her house. But, like, in a small congregation like that, you can definitely feel it, and you can tell. And honestly, if there's, like, 20 people to choose from, and if you can invite all 20 of them to your home and you only invite 19, that is a choice.
Yeah, this is one thing that I would pose this to anybody, active or ex-witness. Just using witness rules and stuff. This is a single sister. Or perhaps has an unbelieving mate. Because she came alone.
Oh, yeah, so she was sitting alone, yeah.
She's alone spiritually. So either she's single or she doesn't, or her husband isn't a witness. Those are the options for this woman. Yeah. If this sister, who apparently has gatherings all the time, doesn't take an effort to include her, and she leaves the truth,
that is on them.
That's on her.
That's true.
And I just want you guys to keep that in the back of your mind, and let's keep this going.
Yeah. By the way, I totally identify with her. I've been left out of so many things that I feel like it hurts so bad to be left out like that.
I was left out of several cliques at my congregation.
I mean, honestly, like, even getting left out of small things. Yeah.
If people don't even pose the question.
I feel like I must have done something to hurt you. And I want to apologize if I have. Is there something wrong?
I guess you had some more of the friends over last night?
Well, yes, a few.
Do you mind telling me why I'm never invited?
Helen, I'm sorry.
That's right, you did.
Never thought what? That I would have noticed how many times you've done this to me. Well, I've noticed. Yesterday makes the third time in the last couple of months that you've had people to your home without me.
Okay, so third time in the last couple of months, and you've done this to me. Those are both kind of red flags for me.
You're leaving her team a little bit?
A little bit. It's not something she did to you unless you have evidence that she's deliberately targeting you, right? Like, for example, if I didn't buy you lunch, I didn't spite you unless you have evidence that I did spite you, right? So, like, she's taking it very personally. In her emotional state, she may say things she doesn't really mean. So that's kind of a red flag that she would say that, and also say 3 times in the last few months. Means you've been keeping track. That's a little bit, especially this upset over 3 months. But I think it has been more than that, I think. Because she does specify, I think, how many times this year. Which is also an alarming thing to keep track of.
Yeah,
would it be unheard of for someone to just invite friends over and that's it?
Yeah, no,
I'm using friends in the non-Jehovah's Witness, everybody's your friend kind of way.
Yeah, no, like we had
everybody in the congregation.
Like at my hall, there were like 2 families that we were especially close to, and we were kind of just over there every weekend. But I don't know, and so maybe that's what she's not getting invited to, and
you can't help if you're not part of that group. Well, I mean, you can help, but it's really hard. That's a common thing inside and outside of a religion, like a closed-off religion.
Yeah, you wouldn't know if you're a part of... that's a thing,
No, I'm saying, even if you're not part of... regardless of whether you're in the religion or not.
No, I know. You wouldn't know if you're part of a clique, like a social clique.
No, I'm saying you would know if you're part of it. When I was in high school, me and Connor and the other guys... We were all in a group. We called it Frugalhorn. And there were a couple people who, on paper, they were in the group, but they never got added to the group chats. And then after high school, we all stopped talking to them. And in retrospect, I feel bad because, we were their friends. And then after high school, we all disappeared. And, I don't know if they had any friends after that. I remember one of them, I was the only one who went to his birthday party. The only one who went to his high school birthday party. He invited everybody else. Nope. Some people didn't even give an excuse. They just didn't show up.
One time, my parents let me have a worldly party in the 5th grade.
Oh. Oh, yes. Yeah, I said birthday party thinking that you would be able to identify with that, but I guess you didn't.
No.
You don't. Never mind.
And it wasn't. It was actually funny. Only 2 girls. I was only allowed to invite girls.
Okay.
In my class.
In a sort of, gender whatever way, I see that logic. Okay. A heteronormative way.
Yeah. So I was only allowed to invite the girls over. My dad got a bouncy castle.
You got a bouncy castle?
It was very fun. Unfortunately, only 2 girls on the list, and my dad's boss's daughter came. Oh. And we planned for I think it was in a class of 20 kids, or so at least there should have been 10 to 12 people there.
Oh.
They didn't come.
I'm so sorry.
I mean, it was actually fine.
It's nice that some people came.
Yeah, one thing I remember.
Especially since you got a bouncy castle. Knowing your dad, he was probably heartbroken.
Yeah, no, he's still.
But I mean, the thing is, you were explicitly told to stay out of a lot of things in the school.
Right.
And as a result, you wouldn't have been able to form the kinds of friendships that would allow for a fun day. If I got invited to someone's party, but I didn't know them that well, I probably wouldn't go.
Yeah.
You know? And if my kid got invited to some party, I would have the kid go, even if we don't know the kid that well, because we've had this experience.
Right, exactly.
Right?
But if you don't have it, you're not really
normies who don't have that experience, who have just been to birthday parties and not been to birthday parties and never really thought about it, probably don't think about it either, and they don't encourage their kids to really reach out to those kids. Because you never know why the kid doesn't have that many friends. You really don't.
Yeah.
It could be because they're just weird. And, weird kids deserve friends, too. Dumb kids deserve friends, too.
Yeah, that's the thing.
But, they could also just be in a weird situation, an unusual situation, like in a Jehovah's Witness situation.
Yeah, growing up, we're not, these are story times for another day. We don't have to have so many now. But, yeah, I could definitely see, there was, in my circuit, there was a lot of young people my age. And I was often just not invited to things that they did. If I hung out with other witness teams locally, it was because I planned it. Mm-hmm. I was in charge.
Oh, so even among witnesses, you weren't popular.
I was just a very unpopular weirdo. Because I think that's the thing, too. I had too many... I loved watching TV, wasn't a big fan of service. I was bad association in the Kingdom Hall, but I was also bad association because I was just also a weirdo because
you didn't have the social,
and also
no wonder you turned out such a weirdo.
I was just a weird. I was gonna be a weirdo no matter what, and so if you are listening and you feel excluded either at school or at work or at the Kingdom Hall, those are valid feelings to have. Yeah. And that's okay to, everyone deserves company and social life. Everyone's entitled to that.
I'll say this.
So don't, if people aren't friends with you, unless you're being mean, pushing people or something, it's not that there's something wrong with you. Right. Sometimes it's just hard to find an in. I struggle with that. I lean on Bob a lot to sort of get conversations going. Mm-hmm. So sometimes you might need to just find something interesting about yourself that you can share and engage with people on that sort of subject. And it'll take time, but it could help because it's never good to feel too isolated, which is different than being alone alone.
Being alone is not the same as being lonely.
Yeah.
They coincide when you're lonely, but you can be alone and happy, right? That's totally normal.
I went for a walk or a run, and
or you just sit in your room and I don't know, play video games or read a book or read the Bible even. You know, like whatever makes you happy. If you're alone and you're happy about it, that's fine.
But don't feel like you have like.
Here's the thing, real quick. I just want to say, you said finding an inn. Finding an inn does not mean waiting for the conversation or the social group to create an inn for you.
Right.
And I thought that for a long time, and I wondered why I wasn't forming a friend group. And, like, I was like, I don't know, I'll just wait till I see an appropriate moment to dive in. And you can't do that. You actually have to create the inn yourself, you know? And it doesn't even need to be a different inn you create every time. It doesn't have to be a unique thing. Because, like, if you're trying to get in with one group of people, and you create an inn, and it doesn't work with them, like, for example, your inn might be that you're really witty, or really funny, or really smart, or have lots of facts, and, you know, or it could be you're really stupid, like you're really genuinely a dumb person, and people like to be around you because it makes them feel smart. Like, any reason can be your inn if you apply it as your inn. Yeah. And that means you have to get someone's attention, make them not hate you, which is really not that hard to do if you just don't piss them off.
One thing, and
then stick around.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid.
This is a tip I would say would probably work for any group that sort of helped me a little bit. Mm-hmm. I was still very awkward and this needed to be fine-tuned, and it will be fine-tuned for the rest of my life. Mm-hmm. So don't think this is gonna
we're never done. We're always a work in progress.
Yeah. So one thing I did in the Kingdom Hall is I would take something I really liked from the broadcast, and I would just bring it up to people and see who bit. Okay. So that's something you could do if
you can totally do that. It doesn't have to be from the broadcast either. You can do that from books and movies and TV shows and comedy specials you saw. You hear a joke, just repeat the joke.
Yeah.
Like, unless you're trying to become a stand-up comedian, it's okay. It's okay for you to steal a joke here or there.
The only reason
you shouldn't steal jokes from your peers, though.
The reason I use the broadcast is that even though I don't agree with a lot of the teachings on the broadcast, if you are actively attending Kingdom Halls and trying to reach out,
you have common ground.
Yeah, you have that common ground, and I understand you don't want to mention like what shows you're watching because you could potentially stumble, but the broadcast is a safe thing in the hall. Ugh. And maybe when you feel the person out, you can bring up the shows that you like.
Yeah.
And I think that's good for
I feel like this kind of ventured into a Rule Zero sort of talk, but...
Yeah.
So, anyways.
Yeah. Okay, so let's keep going with this.
Not to mention the 4 other times.
So, total of 7 times.
I'm so sorry, Helen. I didn't mean to slight you in any way. And I promise, it was nothing personal.
Nothing personal. How can you invite everybody in the congregation over to your home for a good time, except me, and say that it's nothing personal?
I mean,
good evening, brothers and sisters. We invite you to please find your seats. Our meeting is about to begin.
So, question.
Yeah.
In this situation, like the meeting is about to start, and they're having this conversation. This is the bad timeline. In the bad timeline, do they just stay out of the meeting, or do they come back in, or what?
They can, like I've stayed in that back room to practice a talk before the meeting started. Sometimes ran a little over, and we get going. Or in this case, for the sister,
this is purely interpersonal. Does not involve Jehovah.
But because this is an iffy one, because there is a scripture in Matthew or something where it says, like, if you're going to bring, like, your gift to the altar, but you've wronged your brother, you need to leave your gift there, and your sacrifice is no good until you've made things right.
Brother, yeah.
So there's that scripture. At the same time, just strictly from, like, a survival measure, the sister who's been having the gatherings, who has friends, this is a good time for her to dip. Like, I'd love to stay and talk this out with you, but, the meeting's starting. So, I think
that would be the most heartless thing she could do, though, because, like, the person specifically is accusing her of, like, you've slighted me. by ignoring my feelings about whether or not I'd like to come over. And it's like, oh boy, I know you really need to talk this out, but oh, look at my wrist, I gotta get going. And then just bounce, like, ooh.
Yeah, so, which is why I use that to say, I'm pretty sure if they could just stay and talk this through a little bit more. And I don't think anyone
And there's also
would.
the question of, I mean, sometimes talking things through is just not possible.
Yeah, like her husband might ask, like, oh, what was going on? I'll tell you about it later. Like, she's at the meeting.
Yeah.
And people have seen her. She's been talking with people. If she stays there in the back for a little bit with some sister, because there are times when, like, sisters will go to the bathroom because someone needed comfort, because, like, they have a sick relative or any reason.
Right.
It's not, like, there's not, like, a...
They're not going to get in trouble about it yet.
Yeah. Okay, take 2.
So do we get the good version now?
Yeah. How it should have ended.
Excuse me. Larry? Frank?
We had such a good time this morning. Always enjoy working with you in service.
Same here. And I hope Miss Johnson comes to the meeting this Sunday.
That would be so nice.
Hey, did you ever find your sunglasses?
No, I looked
I
all
can't
over.
place
I
her
have
accent
no
at
idea
all.
where they could be.
Hey.
Hey, Susan.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
You left these at my house last night.
Maybe.
Can you believe it? I should have known. Thank you so much, Susan. Where were they?
Wow. Susan had another gathering at her home? I wonder why I wasn't invited again. Wait, that's not important. She is so hospitable. I'm gonna pray that Jehovah continues to bless her for it. And maybe there's something I can do.
And Helen, how are you doing?
Fine. How are you, Susan?
Great.
Well, wait, pause. I'm sorry.
You too, Alice.
What was the lesson there was for her to be grateful to Jehovah for something?
So basically, she's saying that's not important.
Okay,
She's
so
so
the lesson was to
hospitable.
swallow her feelings down,
Yeah, and, like-
where they can, instead of burning a hole in her mind, burn a hole in her heart where she'll feel it forever.
Yeah, and like I have a point to add with that, but I just want to finish her solution
Okay.
thing, and then I'll add to it.
Would you like to work together in service this Saturday? And then come to my house for lunch.
That sounds so nice.
Would I like to?
Oh, I
would
thought she was going
love
to make an
to.
excuse.
So see, that
That would really seal it. Like in both timelines,
she just doesn't like
She just
her.
doesn't like
I
Helen.
need to be cool with that. But I will say, but this is like what I was saying earlier about when I was excluded from cliques. The only time I got to hang out with people is if I made the plans. No one invited me
Right.
to any of these things, and that's what it looks like is her solution is. So on one hand, like, yeah, if you want to hang out with people, sometimes it is just you making the plans all the time, or you just don't see these people. But I don't feel like that's fair. And maybe I get that I'm biased to this because I'm the person who, if I wanted to be with people, always had to make the plans.
Right.
But that's
Here's the thing, though, and now I guess I'm speaking mostly to young people rather than just people generally. But like, when you're young, you're in a school where most of you are going to be moving up in grades together. So you're with this relatively stable group of people. The people aren't stable, but the individuals who are in this group, those individuals will be with you for a long, long period of time, years. And it's also the only life you know, right? So unless you're moving a lot, right? In which case it's already hard to make friends and keep friends and stuff. But like, finding your way into a social group can be difficult. There was a period of time when I was in college, or just after I left college, where I had these deep concerns. I was very self-conscious about the idea that maybe I was the person in the friend group who was annoying. Maybe I was the person in the friend group who nobody liked. And there were things about those doubts I had about my friends that I think, like, do they think I'm pretentious? Do they secretly wish I wouldn't come to these hangouts? You know, do I come across as a jerk? And like, there were things about those that I don't necessarily think it was true, but at the same time, it did help me change for the better. You know, I was overly negative at times. And so, like, I tried to pull back on that. But, like, those doubts were there, and even if they're true, and I don't know that they're not true, my friend, that friend group has sort of, my connection to the friend group has slightly drifted apart, and that's okay, because I'm an adult.
Right.
Right? And as an adult, I can kind of just go wherever I want and try to insert myself into situations to make friends. If I have a hobby, like, you know, video games, I can go to a game store. If I want to, or tabletop gaming, a different kind of game store, but the same, you know, same sort of thing. I can go to these places and just schmooze a little bit, use those ins we talked about before, and just use that to get into social situations. And, like, you can do that with any hobby, in any place, whatever your in is. Just find a place that suits that in. And so, like, if it's cooking, go to a restaurant or go to a bar and, like, just talk to people at the bar. Even talk to other patrons at the restaurant. It's weird. It's awkward. Nobody does it. But you can do that. And so, like when you're young, being in those social groups feels really important. And counterintuitively, what I'm trying to say is it is very important. Even if you are the annoying friend, try to have a friend group. And then when that friend group falls apart, that's not the end of the world, because you can just move on.
Right.
Right? So, like, it's okay, even if I was the jerk of the group that nobody liked in high school, I was with those guys, you know, from freshman year on of high school and well into my college years. And if I'd realized that none of them liked me and I got kicked from that friend group, I still had years of social development and personal memories and things to form with those guys that I wouldn't have had if I was too busy being anxious about whether or not I could have friends.
Right.
You know.
And, like, just bringing it back to her situation, it's really interesting that in both the good and bad, her feelings are never validated.
Not at all.
She's not even told, you're crazy for thinking
right,
that.
They don't even address it.
She never even says, I do like you. It's just like, it could be, you know, we were having married couples over and you're single. And I didn't want you to be like the third wheel every time.
Yeah.
But you're right.
I mean, what if she said, like, oh, the group I'm inviting, like, 7 times a year, I wish we invited them more because we've got a D&D campaign that we need to get back to. Like, she could have anything.
Yeah, like,
you know,
just a reason why.
Probably not a D&D campaign.
Yeah, no, not a D&D campaign. But, you know, whatever the reason is for not inviting the sister, it really seems like he's not a fan.
Mm-hmm.
It also could be like, you know, they were talking about going out in service. They could be pioneers. Mm-hmm. And, like, pioneers, you're going out every day. And if she's, like, who's going to be regular in service? We're a car group. We're always going to be working together. Because it's like, some halls have, like, a bunch of people pioneering. Some halls have, like, 3.
Right.
So it's like, maybe some people might go before work. Sometimes if they're up to it, but most of the time it's gonna be us 3. So we've gotta get along. But I mean, like, regardless, that's just like working friends.
Regardless of the reason, no one ever addresses Helen's actual concerns, her hurt, her feelings, which are valid.
Yeah.
That she feels as though she's being singled out, and maybe she is. If she is being singled out, she shouldn't be. But if she isn't being singled out, you can still feel slighted. You can still feel, even if, like, you can feel like something's unfair even if it is fair.
Right.
You know, and that's okay. And the best thing other people can do for you in that situation is try to help you through it by either helping you see how it is actually fair or how you aren't being slighted, or, at the very least, try to help you feel better about it.
Yeah, but no, her feelings are never qualified. And
like she has to swallow it.
She's single. Again, either no husband or unbelieving husband.
Right.
And if that's the case, everybody, it's from the Watchtower, it's basically everybody's job to invite this particular woman, because of her situation, to everything. If you want to keep her in this, but if she feels isolated, but then she goes to work and like Joe and Veronica always talk to her,
right?
She's not coming to meetings anymore, and that's on this woman.
You know, it's interesting though. Like, if everyone's constantly inviting her to things and she's going to those things, I think her unbelief in the scenario where she has an unbelieving spouse, I can imagine the unbelieving spouse being more and more put off by that, in the sense that the religion is literally driving a wedge, well, not literally, but figuratively driving a wedge in their marriage, right? Because like, if I'm the unbelieving spouse and you go off and you're visiting all these, you know, going and hanging out with people all the time, I might just want to spend some time with you. And if you're gone every day of the week, because you're going to meetings anyway, but on top of that, you're also hanging out with that person, hanging out with this person. You're on weekends, you go over there, you go over here, you're pioneering, you're doing service or whatever. I can never see you. The person I, as a non-believing, and like it might be like, well, you should become a believer then. It's like, well, that's not how beliefs work, unfortunately.
The only thing I would say is that
I don't choose this.
Sometimes, like, it depends on the group, but I've been to gatherings where they invited someone with an unbelieving mate and the husband as well. You know, because hopefully you'll convert too.
Right.
But yeah, that is a good point. So, but either way, it's just weird that she's never invited given her situation.
Right.
But that, in my hall, that was the case for a lot of women in her situation. So,
if you're not already in the group, you're not allowed in the group.
Yeah.
It's like exclusive membership, but you can't, there's no amount of social good you can do to get in. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's something. So.
Thank you, Helen. What can I bring?
Both of you, just bring yourselves. I'll have everything ready.
Oh, sounds good.
Gotta go.
So, yay. All right, let's see what's next.
Lunch.
Oh, Alice.
Oh, hi, Debbie.
I've got to tell you what I just heard yesterday.
Well?
Remember Bethany, who used to attend some of our meetings years ago?
Yes, she started going back to the meetings again?
Not at all. She left the man that she's living with to move in with another.
Wait, you've been keeping in touch with her?
Well, no, I haven't talked to her directly. But you know, word gets around. Anyway, can you believe it?
Debbie, we both know Bethany has done a lot of bad things since she stopped attending the meetings. And I really hope she makes changes and comes back. But in the meantime, do you really think we should be spending our time talking about all the bad things she's doing right now?
Well, probably not. I just figured, since we all grew up together, you want to know how far from the truth she's gotten.
But Debbie, love does not rejoice over unrighteousness.
Okay, So this one's real complicated.
There's a lot, yeah. So, I don't know if this person, Brittany...
Alice and Debbie,
they're talking about Brittany, right? Brittany, I believe...
I didn't catch that name.
Okay, well, this woman that they grew up with...
We'll call her Brittany in case that's her name, and if it's not, Oopus?
Yeah. So, Brittany stopped going to meetings. Brittany's inactive, I guess.
She's living with a man. She left the man and started living with a different man.
Yeah. So, she, sounds like Brittany's out there living her best life.
Well, she's living a life, even if it's not her best. I personally think we don't have enough details to know if her life right now is bad.
Or, yeah.
It could be great.
It sounds like didn't work out with somebody.
Right.
Now she's with somebody else.
Right. That's a totally normal experience. That is okay. It's fine.
Or people break up.
Yeah. Relationships happen.
Yeah, even as witnesses, you weren't living together, but, there are breakups. It's not like you marry the very first person.
Right. And just from a pragmatic perspective, it can make sense to live with somebody that you're in a relationship with. That's for other people to decide. Here's the thing that I find kind of contentious about this. Debbie comes up, calls Alice, and says, "Hey, I want to tell you about what's going on with Brittany," right? Mm-hmm. And Debbie then says, "This is a bad thing she did." And Alice scolds her and says, "We shouldn't be talking about all the bad things she does, even though we both know she does a lot of bad things." And my problem with this is, you're basically scolding her for gossiping, but you clearly have gossiped about her with someone else before you got here. That's how you're keeping up with what's happening to Brittany. That's how you know that she's been doing bad things since she left the truth.
Right.
And so, like, the fact of the matter is, whether you're in the truth, whether you're in the Jehovah's Witnesses, or worldly, as they would say, being rude to someone behind their back is not cool. Like, that's just not a cool way to live. So, like, I don't think this message, or I guess this is the negative side of the tale, where she's saying, but, like, she's the one delivering the message right now.
Right.
We're not going to see her get corrected. The fact of the matter is, I think they're both kind of in the wrong. Debbie, not thinking it through, is just blurting out some stuff she heard about Brittany, when the truth of the matter is, if you don't want to see the worst in people, just maybe don't spread the worst rumors about them.
Yeah, that's one thing.
But, like, Alice already knows this stuff and is thinking negative things about Brittany. Bethany. It was Bethany. Right. Alice is already thinking negative things about Bethany anytime she thinks of Bethany. So, like, maybe just stop thinking of Bethany? Or, like, if you can't help but think negative
there's
things?
a lot of things.
I don't know. There's so many layers going on.
So, yeah, like, let's just break this down. So, let's talk about already the gossip culture we're seeing here.
Uh-huh.
Like you said.
Is that prevalent in Jehovah's Witnesses?
In my congregation, certainly so. And I think a lot of...
Obviously, there's going to be variation.
There could be variation. It's also determined... Because, you know, people are people, and everybody has a different... trigger level, I'll say, or stumble level of what's going to be stumbling to each person. So, you know, we're all trying to mind our P's and Q's around everybody all the time. At the time when I was in. And so this Bethany, she could have left when she was 17 and didn't get baptized. I've known 2 people in my life who did that, who basically just, like, either got baptized or never got baptized, and were like, bye, I'm going to do me. And I remember there was one person, in the case where they left with somebody and got married, had kids with this person, is happy with this person. And that I heard about this girl when I was a kid. I heard about her until I was 22. And she was this scandalous...
happily scandalous.
like, she was labeled as this really promiscuous woman.
But she'd gotten settled down with someone...
immediately.
And they had kids, and she was never unfaithful or anything.
But I do remember, and, like, this, you know... One of the things I remember is people were talking about how they found out that, you know, with her kids, you know, she was celebrating Christmas and birthdays with her children.
Oh, that's nice.
And that was received as like, oh, she's like that far gone. That's one thing, like, you know, there's different levels of gossip culture, but I think a lot of people, because when you're just fellowship, it's like, this person is no longer one of Jehovah's Witnesses.
Right.
And people in the know might know why, might know the tea, but other people won't, and they'll assume it, if they weren't really that close with you, they will assume it was sex. It is always assumed that it's sex. Why else would you leave this unless you wanted to have sex? And that goes in, which is a bigger topic for another day.
That's really fascinating.
Sexual repression within it, because, you know, even
sexual repression is so strong that they can't imagine another reason someone would leave, even though there's, like, much more important reasons to leave. The Jehovah's Witnesses?
But like
Interesting.
Like, you know, even, you know, with my uncle who's reached out to me several times after leaving.
Mm-hmm.
You found a quote.
Right.
I know you found a man who says he loves you and that's all you ever wanted. When like
You've never talked to him about that at all.
Like I was
and also that has nothing to do with anything.
No, never asked a question of like, why aren't you going to meetings near you? Just that it is always.
He assumes he knows the answer.
You know, yeah, like that's
fascinating.
something. Yeah, because like, you know, like other YouTubers, like alt-worldly and stuff, you know, it was straight up apostasy. And when I heard about that, I was so I was like, I never thought anyone ever got dispellation for anything other than like sex or drugs. I really I didn't know how much attention they were paying to anybody in that regard. I mean,
your family will report you.
Yeah, and like, you
which
know,
is itself very sinister.
And Alt-Worldly has like told, you know, his whole story about it, but like when I heard it,
Let me say real quick, if we have any actual like currently practicing Jehovah's Witnesses listening, I want to be clear that you don't have to agree with me on anything
at all. But so far, you know, this is only like the first recording we're doing in this
style,
in this style. So we're just talking. Yeah, we're just, you know, figuring it out. But yeah, no, I don't, even though I don't agree with the witness lifestyle for myself personally, and I am making this primarily for people
kind of in your place.
Kind of in my place, whether they're attending meetings or not. Mm-hmm. But if you are fully in it, that's your call. So,
right, of course.
You know, so if you do leave a comment, please be considerate. And, you know,
I mean, speak your mind.
Speak your mind. I'm just saying, but don't just like.
But listen to what we have to say.
Yeah, don't just cast us out, I guess, right off the bat. Or don't make any judgments before really like hearing what we have to say and what other people have to say. You know, do your own research.
Yeah, do your own research. Yeah, that's true.
That's all I would say.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's wrap.
Yeah, let's see. I wonder if they're gonna get more into this.
But rejoices with the truth.
So we need to be happy if she comes back, but otherwise we're not gonna think about her at all.
You know what? You're right. Why talk about this? We have so many good things to talk about.
Yes, we do. Like this morning. Do you remember that call we went on last week? Well, Helen and I went back again this morning, and the lady was home. She invited us in, and we placed a book.
Really?
Yes. We even got to show her one of our videos, and she said she may come to the meeting this Sunday.
Oh my goodness, that was a quick conversion. Oh, are we gonna get the good version now?
I believe this actually might be a different scenario.
Oh, really? Okay, let's just keep going.
But I just wanted to one last thing on that before we get to the next deal. In my experience, that conversation has never happened. No one's ever turned away gossip. Ever.
Really interesting.
I've never, I've known some, actually, no, that's not true. I've known a few people that I thought were genuinely cool and decent people, and when that stuff came up, they were they just shut it down pretty quick. Well, you never know what someone's going through.
Yeah.
That's it.
And that's the correct response. I mean, regardless of whether you're a witness or not, the correct response to whether or not when you hear gossip is, let's cool it. You don't know what's going on with them.
Yeah. But no, it's always, it's straight up the scarlet letter most of the time. So, these updates on Bethany would be welcome. No one's asking for sources. And if Bethany ever did come back, she's always going to have this over her head. I've known lots of people who have been reinstated that have the A never leaves them.
Right.
And it's always this stigma, and they always have to constantly overprove themselves till the point where eventually, maybe, it won't be the first thing that comes to people's minds. But if you were at the same... That's why a lot of times reinstated people will just move halls, just start over. Because you've made your bed with these people. Time to pack up and start again.
Yeah.
And some people might say, no, that's not true. And I would... and giving the benefit of the doubt, I would say you're one of the cool, decent people that understands people make mistakes and you move on from that.
Yeah, it's
but there are plenty of people where that's not the case, and it just distances people.
I think a lot of times, like, there's two reasons why people might engage in gossip of this nature, in my mind. Empathy with the person being gossiped about. I can't believe what's happened to this person. You know,
you don't think it's gossip.
Can you please tell me more? Because I'm very curious about what happened to them. And even if it's good things or bad things, it doesn't really matter. You just want to know what's going on. And Schadenfreude, where you like to watch, it's you can't look away from the car crash kind of thing. And I think people mix up the two sometimes. You think you're being empathetic when you're engaging in Schadenfreude. And that's a problem that exists within and without the culture, right? But the thing that I think is really interesting is that it's really hard for outsiders to tell which one you're engaging in.
Right.
And I think we all, at least I do, even unintentionally, I engage in both in different circumstances and sometimes can seamlessly switch between the two without realizing I'm switching between
here's the thing, too. Everybody gossips. And, gossip in and of itself isn't
necessarily
a bad thing. Because sometimes gossip is just, a funny story of, something, an incident that happened. And, maybe, your group of friends... maybe your group of friends knew an antagonistic person. We went to the grocery store and this guy started yelling anti-feminist things at us. And it was we're technically gossiping about that guy.
Right, or anytime we tell that one embarrassing story about Caitlin Bennett. We're all technically gossiping about her.
Yeah, but the thing is... what I was about to say doesn't apply to the Caitlin Bennett example. So, but, if we're just talking about this antagonistic person among our friend group...
we know. Okay, yeah.
That person, it's just a random stranger that wasn't in our friend group, that was antagonistic. We are gossiping about them, but their life isn't over.
Oh, sure.
But if you're in a congregation, that is your small town.
Yeah, for sure.
If we gossip about
and you're encouraged actively to not make friends with other people, so the more gossip you do, it really is, you're driving nails into, or you're driving knives into the back of the people that you're supposed to be
welcoming back with open
arms.
So that's just not.
That's not good.
No, and I can't imagine anyone, active or not, would be cool with the
gossiping in that
way.
But
I would want you to think about yourself and what you're likely to do. And I'm not even saying shame on you, because I've engaged in gossip. I've been to meetings. It's hard not to get into it and be like, oh my gosh, look at this train wreck of a witness. They haven't been out in service in weeks. What are they even doing? But I would just encourage you, just think about it. And really, is that fair of them to think of that?
Right.
And
it's really, and this kind of ties both of what both of us said together. If you're engaging in gossip, do it responsibly, and by that I mean try to keep your Schadenfreude in check and employ your empathy when you can. Because, for example, gossip might be something like, did you hear this guy's wife left him? That is gossip. And we might go, oh my gosh, I can't believe this guy's wife left him. And it's wow, what's he gonna do? Is he gonna have to move out? Blah, blah, blah. And those kinds of questions would be kind of engaging in Schadenfreude. The empathetic way to look at it would be potentially something like, is there something we can do?
Is he okay?
Is he okay? Because there might be some really good reasons and things you could do to help him or her or both of them in that situation. I'm reminded of, I told you about this a while ago. So my dad had a friend who was a very, very nice guy, and he got into a motorcycle accident. Well, his wife left him after that motorcycle accident. And he was fundamentally not the same guy anymore. He couldn't feed himself properly, and he couldn't speak sentences. Before that, he was a highly accomplished doctor, and after that he was a completely changed man. And his wife left. And if we engaged in gossip about him, the gossipy thing to do would be like, oh man, did you hear about that? Oh, it sucks to be him. And like move on with our lives after thinking, wow, we get to feel superior because none of that happened to us. And instead, my dad, being a good, empathetic person, often empathetic to a fault, my dad said, no, like, what's he going through? How can we help?
Yeah.
And, like, it wasn't, I don't want to give my dad, like, some heroic credit, like he did.
That is
like,
what
the other people around him were also empathetic in that situation because they all knew, this was people he worked with, they all knew that this guy needed help. And his wife left him, and my dad also reached out to her, and she also helped. But she was like, I can't be in this marriage anymore for her own reasons, and they didn't discuss that because it's not important.
Right.
Right? That's where my dad drew the line and said, we don't need to know any of those details. This gossip ends here. Right. Because now we have a mission. We have to get this man who's had a medical emergency better.
I think also a lot of times gossip gets written off as like a girl, like cat girls thing, just gossip all the time.
Guys gossip too.
Everyone gossips. Yeah. It's very natural.
And non-binary people.
Yeah. All of our he, she's, theys.
It's.
Gays, all of them. Everyone gossips. That's how it is.
Yeah.
That's just a natural social thing. And it's not a girls only thing. It's not a bad thing to talk about what things that have happened among yourself because you also need to process things.
Sure.
If someone, like in this Bethany case, she left. Does that make up, like, why'd she leave? Not even do I want to leave, but it's more just like, what happened to her that made her do that? And maybe I want to avoid that or something. Like,
and it's also it's also worth mentioning that you do run the risk of coming to common answers that are just not true, coming to assumptions. Introspection only goes so far.
As you.
You can't be, it only goes so far as you. It ends as soon as you've left your own head. Because, like, you say, like, what happened to Bethany? Who hurt her? Is a common question that you ask of people, that religious people ask of non-religious people. And that's not the case for a lot of non-religious people. A lot of us, we weren't hurt. I just wasn't religious, you know? Or, like, I was religious and then I just kind of lost interest in it. Like, that happens to people all the time. There's nothing wrong with them. Nobody hurt them. There's no deep-seated trauma that they're living out through rebellion. Like, so, like, if you're going to talk about someone, be responsible, express empathy, don't make it about yourself.
Right.
Anyways.
So let's see
keep going.
Let's check out the next clip.
Alice.
And then, oh, this one, yeah. This kid looks like Tom Cruise. Like a
Mad
dehydrated
swag.
Tom
This
Cruise.
is a new Chad. Forget that last Chad.
I didn't know it was that
This
bad.
is a new Chad kid.
The storm was far worse than expected.
This is such an odd conversation because I don't know how they got to this conversation.
It looked like he just walked over.
He walked up and said, "Tell me your life story," and then he just did.
Right
My
away.
wife had passed away a few years before the disaster, and I didn't have any family to stay with. So I really didn't have anything to go back to.
So what did you do next?
Next, I learned what real love is all about.
Hold up, pause. So this guy's gonna tell like a deeply sad story, and also an uplifting story because, and I guess I'm glad they do end on an uplifting story because his congregation.
There's one more after this.
Oh really? Ugh, never mind. This would have been a good one to end it on.
This was definitely the showstopper, but it.
Especially since it got footage from outside the building, of like an actual disaster. But like, he dealt with some truly horrific circumstances, and he pulled through because the people around him, the other witnesses around him pulled together for him. That's expressing empathy. That's great. But what I find really weird is that after his wife died, he learned what real love was. That's really disturbing to me. Because, like, I think I discovered what real love was through my connection to people who can love me back.
I would also say...
And not just people, right? Creatures that are capable of loving and share... Like, love isn't something to be delivered one direction. Love is something to be shared between...
Cycled through...
Yeah, cycled within a group, shared with a person or people or animals. Like, I learned more about love by owning a dog than I ever did reading a book or hearing about other people's experiences, because love is something that you experience,
right?
And I don't even necessarily think it changes you. It depends on who you are, but it's very experiential rather than like I don't know, like the idea that he would learn what real love is after his wife died seems really disrespectful to his wife. You know, because like I think what they had probably was real love. I mean, I guess I can't know. Maybe they had a loveless marriage, but like the assumption is that they were happy together. He seems pretty sad about his wife being dead.
Yeah.
You know.
So there's that.
It's like I had this whole marriage thing, but then I found out what like.
Yeah, I think it would have been better if he said, "I learned who my real friends are," kind of thing, because he didn't have family.
That I think would have worked.
Because that's one thing I don't, and like I've only ever really known of the Charity of Witnesses. But I feel, and like,
is that a term or a charity or what is that?
No, I'm just saying, like, I've only known of like the charity.
Oh, I see.
So like these examples, we heard tons of these stories. But like, you know, in the world, I feel like if he had people who knew him, given the circumstances, people would have
for sure
put him up. I don't think that that's exclusive to Witnesses, but I feel like they're definitely portraying it as though it is.
I mean, anybody, like, the thing is, like, and this is the thing that happens with religious people sometimes. They talk about, like, oh, this is a thing sometimes they ask, okay, atheists, where do you get your morality from? As though religion or religious people have some kind of monopoly on morals or being good to one another. Loving your neighbor isn't a necessarily religious idea. And, like, even you can get a lot of nice proverbs and wisdom and things like that from religious teachers without being religious, even if that's your source. Like, you can use the Bible as your source of morality if you want, even if you're non-religious, right? The book's still not. The book's not out.
Like,
I wouldn't, but you can.
Yeah, I wouldn't. But like lots of people argue, like, you know, the Bible's a good book full of morals.
Like, and if you think that, then that's fine. I don't have to be a Christian to
take you up on that.
Take stuff from the book. I can read.
Yeah,
I can read. But yeah, like, you know, if you form connections with people, they will support you.
Yeah. Okay. Still learning what the real world is like.
Gosh, I mean, this devastation is just hard to look at.
It's really like these are.
This is real. Like, these are not sets or anything. No. And I don't know. There must have been some. I don't know what calamity happened in. What was this? 2015. They probably filmed this in 2014.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. Gosh, like.
But yeah, this is like a life.
But see, like, they filmed all this stuff outside of that set, Kingdom Hall. Not really a set.
I identify with that so much. I can't even imagine how, like, just sitting there in someone else's home like that would feel.
Yeah.
This, like,
holding the picture frame, having a single bag. And this is, like, really heartwarming too.
Like, I would say, like, this is really. I will also
Why didn't they end on this?
Because they really wanted to, like, bookend it with, like, what we opened with that guy coming into the meeting.
Oh, well, yeah.
So,
I mean, like, I feel like you can still bookend without taking away from the sincerity of this.
Right.
And, like, the truth of the matter is, like, everything I'm seeing here, and, like, this is me speaking as an atheist, everything I'm seeing here is what I see. These are humans being good to each other.
Yeah.
This has nothing to do with Jehovah's Witnesses.
Wow. They took all of you into their home?
Yes.
And, like,
6
I don't
of
know
us.
if that's even feasible.
It wasn't easy
6 is a big
sometimes.
ask.
6 is a huge ask for most people.
But in the end, we knew.
But 6...
He also got his own room, apparently.
Yeah,
No
like,
one else was in
if
there.
all 6 people got their own rooms, then these people must be pretty much loaded, right?
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is, like, 6 people is not the entire congregation. They took on what they thought they could take on in the fiction of the story, even if it's, like, unfeasible for anyone in the real world. Like, they're basically saying, try to be good to the people you can be good to, and your limit is your limit. Understand your limit, live up to that limit.
Yeah.
You know? And
Well,
sometimes break past that limit when you can.
You know, and also, like, you know, not even, like, in a using way, but, like, I don't think it would even necessarily be, like, a super, like, financial burden, because he probably has Social Security of some kind.
Yeah, well, I
No?
feel like... I mean, the amount of food...
Like, I'm just
She's
saying,
still cooking for everybody.
yeah, that's work.
Like, she cooked a big thing of stew, and that's great for one day. She has to do that every day, while everybody's finding new places to live and
That's
work.
true.
And so, I mean, like...
It's a big ask.
It's a
but
huge
it's
ask.
It's a...
But you know what? I mean, like, it's not like witnesses are the only people who live this way and could do that. And it's not like they're the only... Like, nobody ever would. Like, people do that. People do bigger things for each other. Because people tend to be pretty good to each other.
Yeah.
Worldly
And
people,
and,
too.
like,
I mean...
Yeah, we're not taking away from the fact that they house these 6 people, but, like, there's kind
It's beautiful because they're human.
Yeah.
It's not beautiful in spite of their humanity. And it's not beautiful because of their status as witnesses.
It's just people being good to people.
Yeah.
Because love endures all things.
Oh, that kid didn't even get a line?
He did at the
Oh, did he
beginning.
at the beginning?
He was like, wow, they took all of you in?
Now let's see the good version of that. No, I'm kidding. So we got to see every vignette we were gonna see. I feel like there were other stories I wanted to see.
Hey, John, nice to see you again. Hey, if you don't have a seat already, we'd love to have you join us.
Thanks.
This is what, your 4th time here?
Yeah, I've never seen anything like this before.
Like what?
Hello, John. I just wanted to say hi and tell you how glad I am to see you here.
Thank you, sir. Nice to see you too.
And Jimmy?
Hi, Brother Thompson.
I want to thank you so much for that package you dropped off yesterday. Chloe and I really appreciate it.
I really wonder what that
Anytime, Brother Thompson, anytime.
Sorry?
I can only think of bad
and say hello to you both.
I don't know why.
Really nice to see you here. Please keep coming.
I'm sure it was
Thanks,
his
I will.
DVD collection of Frasier.
As always, good to see you.
Same here, Gary.
Seinfeld.
We still on for tomorrow, right?
Counting on
Seinfeld.
it. 6 o'clock?
That's right.
Great. I'll see you then. No, where were we?
Well, I was about to say how friendly everyone is here. And not just with me, I mean, with each other. You people really practice what you preach.
Well, thanks, John. You know, Jesus said for us to
Ah,
have love
title
among
drop.
ourselves. And we really try...
We're real close to the end here. I just want to, like, ask, like, what do you think about this? Because, like, well, you go ahead.
What do you mean? Like, just
I'm
like...
just like this.
I'm-
Does this feel familiar to you? Does this seem like something that would happen?
You know...
Because, like, this is obviously what they'd like to happen, but, like...
This is what's supposed to happen, and I've, you know, seen people visit the meetings. I've gone up and said hi sometimes. Sometimes it really, in my experience, growing up in halls, I think other channels would just discuss this as love bombing. You come into a new place and everybody's like, I love you, I love you. I would say my congregation needed to up their love bombing game. It left much to be desired.
Well, for them, yeah.
It was kind of like for the governing body, it was lacking. But it was normally you kind of came, no one ever just, it seems like he's not studying with anyone. He just stumbled upon this kingdom hall.
Right.
And was just like, what's in here?
I guess he unstumbled.
Yeah. He moseyed on in, and
Yeah.
he's doing that.
I mean, Jehovah's calling to him, I guess.
So, I guess so. I think the other thing we would see is that, all these people coming up, someone is going to get him to be their Bible study. So, since he's unattached, they're essentially all trying to scripturally woo him.
Wow.
In a way. But usually, in my experience, it was always I invited my Bible study to the meeting, and it's you're with me, and I'm gonna introduce you to my friends, and it's kind of this is my new study, and everyone's oh, it's nice to meet you, but it wasn't.
Can I just say, as someone who's never been particularly religious,
right?
This sounds so bizarre to me. I don't mean that as other religions do it in a much more reasonable way. I feel like it makes sense
for religion in
for
general.
religions to do things like this, Jehovah's Witness included. It just seems really strange to me because I've never been invited to any of these things. I've never desired to go to any of these things. And I don't even know if I would enjoy it. I can't even imagine myself getting close to this. But at the same time, it's nobody really imagines themselves doing anything that they end up changing their mind on, right? If I became religious later in life, then I'd probably do something like this.
Just with how, not that you're the most argumentative person.
I am.
You kind of are, yeah. I was
right now.
Yeah, you can't let me get a word in.
Shut up. I'm kidding.
But, I would be so curious what a Bible... I think they would just discontinue with you, after,
Bible study?
I think if someone offered you, just being honest, and maybe, let me know in the comments if we're wrong, but...
Let us know in the comments if you'd like to hear us do a Bible study.
I'm a woman.
Neither of us are Jehovah's Witnesses.
But I can't I can't.
Okay, we would do a non-witness Bible study where we would open the Bible and study it.
Okay, we could do that.
Okay.
I'm just
anyway, I just think...
But yeah, no,
I don't know how I would feel about this.
But if a witness is going over doctrine with you, and you're gonna, say your piece, and they either would have a response, and you'd be like, no, because XYZ, or...
Thank you for correctly assuming I would continue to argue.
You would. And I feel like the only option they'd have is just to discontinue the study with you.
Yeah, okay.
So
I guess in that
like
situation...
you might get 2 studies. And then...
I mean, yeah, pretty much.
So, that, I don't...
Because I'm not going to lie to them. I'm not going to be like...
Yeah.
I think this, but, really something
else. That earlier example.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, let's keep going.
Try our best to follow that command. Of course, if you keep coming, you're going to see we're not perfect.
Well, I think I've seen enough to know that I'm ready for that Bible
Okay, he has... Okay, this is like a study courtship.
Everyone's like,
let's take our seats, and we'll talk more about the Bible study after the meeting.
No, I think at this phase, because only 2 people came up to him. Okay, this hall looks more full.
Oh, and look, Helen came back, and now she's sitting with her.
Okay. So does she not have a husband?
No, I guess she doesn't, but look, they're friends, they're being very friendly.
They're being very friendly.
Okay, so hopefully Helen got to be...
Yeah, so we're, that concludes...
That's the end of it, yeah.
Yeah, and, I just wanted to go over these, these last couple clips, just to sort of just lay the groundwork for, I felt like this is a good place to start this channel off on.
Yeah.
Just, sort of we had some fun. We enjoyed some things we saw.
Yeah, because I think it's easy. It's easy to point out the things that we don't like, right? And it's easy to point out the things we do like, but realistically, there's going to be a mix, and we have our feelings, and they might be different from each other, and you're welcome to go explore those other channels too. That might be more on the positive side or more on the negative
encourage
side.
you. Also,
whatever, you explore things.
Yeah,
do your own research.
Keep doing your own research. I do not think that
we're not experts on anything.
I doubt this is the first video you've watched.
Right.
We're new at this. We're just sort of testing the waters. And I will say, this one, not a lot of people talk about it. It's kind of when they were sort of just starting up, building up the broadcast cinematic universe, in a way. But as you saw, I did talk about a few problems I had from an optics standpoint. But overall, I think it's good to start with this because we still have lots of positive and at least interesting conversations to have around it. So if you're still, listening to this, thank you.
Especially if you're present JW.
Yeah, please, comment, talk to
or
us.
just religious if you've put up with my, atheistic ramblings.
Yeah.
And
hopefully
you found them to be at least interesting to you.
And in the descriptions below, there's some ways to get in contact with us. If you want to DM me on Instagram and you just need somebody to talk to, I'm open to that. Yeah, so...
For now, we can't make that a standing promise.
Yeah. If people are mean to me, that will stop being a thing. If it's too much. But, this is only the first time.
But yeah,
But everybody...
If you have questions, comments, thoughts, feel free to share, even if you disagree with us.
Yeah, so we've got... it's just good to...
Could you just talk about it?
Yeah. So this has been Bad Association, and we'll check with you later.